It's the appointed time. We have a quorum. I call to order the meeting of the panel on security. Agenda item number 1. Information papers issued since the last meeting. Since the last meeting, the Secretariat issued an information paper that is a joint letter dated 1st September 2025 from Mr. Dennis LEUNG and Mr. TANG Ka-piu, requesting the panel to discuss issues relating to stepping up the combat of illegal workers. LC paper number CB brackets 21715/2025 brackets 01. The Secretariat has forwarded the letter to the administration for them to give a written response. We can also make use of the session for the oral question, the second oral question on combating illegal workers at the council meeting tomorrow, 10th of September, to follow up on the relevant matter with the Secretary for Security. Agenda item number 2, items for discussion at the next meeting. According to, the list of outstanding items for discussion, LC paper number CB brackets 21691/2025 brackets 01 has been sent to members. The Secretariat has issued a notice before notifying members that the next regular meeting is to be held at between 8:30 and 10:30 in the morning on the 3rd of October, Friday, in Conference Room 3. Having consulted the administration and the ICAC, the panel decided that the next regular meeting will be a policy briefing, and we will hear from the Secretary for Security and the ICAC Commissioner on their measures announced in the policy address to be delivered on 17th of September. The Secretary for Security and the ICC Commissioner did not suggest discussing other items. Also, regarding the 2 items in the list of outstanding items for discussion, item number 3 in relation to the handling of non-refoulement claims, as well as number 4 on further opening up the frontier closed area. I would like to consult members on this. Would you agree to follow up on the relevant matters at the policy briefing at the next session rather than having another meeting to discuss the relevant items? If there are no objections, that's what we'll do. And the Secretariat should issue a notice inviting all other electrical members to attend the meeting. Let me also remind members, on 23rd of September, we will visit the Hong Kong Police Tactical Unit headquarters to find out more about PTU's training in riot control, crowd management, and response to emergencies. I believe the details of the visit have already been sent to members. If members have no comments on the relevant arrangements, we'll move on to the next agenda item. The third agenda item is implementation progress of the opening up of Sha Tau Kok. I will now invite representatives of the administration to come inside the conference room. We have today in attendance Mr. Michael Chuck, Undersecretary for Security. We have also Mr. Alan Lau, District Commander, Border of the Hong Kong Police Force, and Ms. Jane Lee, Principal Assistant Secretary of Security A. The Legislative Secretariat prepared a background brief for this item. LC paper number CB brackets 21691/2025 brackets 03. Undersecretary, when you're ready, please brief members on the paper provided by the administration. LC paper number CB brackets 21691/2025 brackets 02. If members wish to speak on this item, please press the request to speak button. Undersecretary for Security, when you're ready, please. Chair, last July. We have reported to members on the second phase of the Sha Tau Kok opening plan. We will again brief members on the implementation progress of the second phase of the Sha Tau Kok opening up plan and the latest situation of the launch of the pilot scheme on facial recognition technology at the reprovisioned Chongying Street checkpoint. Let me talk about some background information. In line with the Northern Metropolis Development Strategy, as Sha Tau Kok is the only rural township remaining within the Frontier Closed Area FCA in Hong Kong with historical significance and uniqueness, the Security Bureau launched the first phase of the Sha Tau Kok Pier opening up scheme in June 2022. The Sha Tau Kok Pier was opened up for use by designated tour groups to take ferry trips to neighboring attractions like Lychee Wall and Ka-piu. In January 2024, the Bureau launched the second phase of the Sha Tau Kok opening up plan to extend its coverage to the entire Sha Tau Kok FCA except Chongying Street. Visitors may apply for an electronic closed area permit to enter Sha Tau Kok for sightseeing. The daily quota has been gradually increased from 1,000 visitors to the current 3,000 visitors. And since the implementation of the latest measures, we had 230,000 applications made by visitors for closed area permits to enter Sha Tau Kok. We have all along been looking for ways to streamline applications. And right now, after the required personal information has been provided, most of the applications are approved within 3 working days. And from the 15th of this month, the police will expedite the approval process and applications can be approved within 2 working days. With the support of the tourism industry since June of this year, we have the police being able to approve closed area permit applications within 1 working day. To provide convenience to individual visitors who drive, we are trying to provide more parking spaces. We have turned the vehicle holding area of the Sha Tau Kok boundary control point into a short-term car park. The car park was commissioned in December 2024. As the car park is adjacent to the entrance of the Sha Tau Kok FCA, vehicles parked there are not required to apply for a closed road permit. Visitors are only required to hold their Sha Tau Kok closed area permits, and they can walk into Sha Tau Kok FCA after parking. To facilitate the people who have access to Chongying Street, we have converted the original temporary checkpoint, which was made up of marquees, into a permanent checkpoint. The new checkpoint was opened on 23rd of December 2024, with its design incorporating the historical and cultural landscape of Sha Tau Kok. The elements of Chinese-style green brick walls, granite skirting, Chinese-style windows, and wooden benches showcase the characteristics of the traditional train stations. The new checkpoint not only provides practical functions but also attracts visitors to take photos. We have also launched a pilot scheme on facial recognition technology with a contactless channel at the new Chongying Street checkpoint to verify the identities of those accessing Chongying Street, and this is available to those holders of valid CAPs upon prior registration. And we have seen the usage rate continue to go up, rising continuously from 46% in early 2025 to the current 64%. The contactless channel can also be quite convenient for those carrying several bags, so that they don't have to take out their documents. We will pay close attention to the implementation situation of the Sha Tau Kok opening up plan. So far, we have seen the measures implemented smoothly, and we have received positive feedback from tourism industry, visitors, as well as citizens. We will maintain liaison with stakeholders and maintain border security. On this premise, we'll see if we can have more quota, have a higher quota for closed area permits, and see if there's any possibility of opening up other parts of the FCA. We will continue to also explore the further usage of facial recognition technology to make it more convenient for residents and visitors. Thank you. I will read out the order in which members are going to speak. Mr. Chan Hacken, Mr. Chan Pula, Mr. Ma Feng Kwok, Mr. Lam Sen Kern, Dr. Johnny, Mr. Edmund Wong, Dr. Professor Chow Man Kong, Mr. Lau Kwok Fan, Ms. Chen Yut Ming, Mr. Dennis Leung, Mr. Yang Wing Kit. Mr. Chan Hacken. Thank you, Chair. I can see that the Sha Tau Kok opening up plan is indeed quite successful. Not only does it boost the local economy, but also tourism in the area. I have two questions. The first is a closed area permit is needed for entering Sha Tau Kok, and I believe there are 3,000 quotas per day, and not every day we will see the quotas used up. So can we have a more flexible approach, not requiring prior registration? I believe that will benefit that will bring about more benefits. The Undersecretary also said right now facial recognition technology is used in Sha Tau Kok boundary control point, and the recognition rate is quite high at 99.5%. So I want to ask, can this technology be used in other boundary control points? If so, what is this timeline? I think if this technology is used in other checkpoints, it will definitely provide more convenience to citizens. That's it from me. Thank you. Undersecretary. Thank you, Chair. For the daily quotas to be eliminated, it will be quite difficult because it is, after all, a closed area. So there's definitely a need for one to apply in advance a closed area permit. But we can complete the approval process within 2 working days. And we have seen when most people go to Sha Tau Kok in autumn, only 1/3 of the quotas is used, and in summer, which is the least, where there is a least number of visitors, only 1/10 of the quota is used. As for your second question on facial recognition technology, Cheng Street checkpoint is unique in the sense that it is a passageway that is 16 meters times 1 meter, whereas in other boundary control points you have many different gates. We are, however, piloting the technology in Hong Kong, Zhuhai, Macau Bridge so that we can adopt what we have in Chongying Street and other boundary control points to see how we can convert the arrangement in Chongying Street to be one that can be used in boundary control points. But let me say this, there are some differences, and we have already seen some progress as we see advancement in technology. Chair, I have some follow-up. I do appreciate the technology being piloted in Hong Kong, Zhuhai, Macau Bridge. I also understand there has to be some adaptations in design. I just want to ask if it is possible for you to make use of the technology in the new Hougang port, because I believe the port will see much in the flow of people and vehicles. Can you try to adapt that for the new port? Well, for the new Hougang port, it is a bit different because on the mainland side, they will have co-location arrangements, and we'll do joint inspection. So with this, people still need to produce a permit, so it wouldn't be contactless. So one would have to scan their ID, and then that information will be passed to both sides for processing. There is no way for us to exclude this at the moment, but we keep an open mind. If one is willing to register in advance their appearance or other methods of authentication, when it complies with the laws on both sides, we'll see if something can happen. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chen Pulan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the Sha Tau Kok is opening up in different phases and as many facilitation measures have been put in place, Sha Tau Kok has become more and more popular. I have a few questions. The administration said that they have turned the vehicle holding area of the Sha Tau Kok boundary control point into a short-term car park. The vehicles will not be required to apply for a closed road permit. Only visitors are required to hold their closed area permits before they can walk into the frontier closed area. I think that this is a great arrangement. After the short-term car park has become decommissioned, will the administration build a permanent car park to facilitate visitors going to the frontier closed area? My second question on Chongying Street. The Sha Tau Kok opening up scheme does not cover Chongying Street, but as we all know, the street is very popular among visitors. In May 2024, under the Hong Kong-Shenzhen collaborative mechanism, there is a working group that is looking into Chongying Street. So I wonder if there has been any progress. Do we have any plan to open it up in the future? Thank you. Under Secretary, 2 questions. The car park has been leased on a short-term tenancy basis, and it was commissioned in December 2024. When the tenancy terminates, we can renew it, because we believe that the site will not be subject to construction until 2027 for the reconstruction of Sha Tau Kok boundary control point. Before the redevelopment of the boundary control point, the site has no other purposes. As to whether we can build a permanent car park adjacent to Sha Tau Kok, well, we're conducting a consultancy study as to whether we should allow visitors to enter Sha Tau Kok inside their vehicles. We don't have a decision yet, but we're looking into the possibility of allowing visitors to enter the area inside their vehicles. There is a historic reason why we don't open up Chongying Street for visitors, because there's a checkpoint there. People can enter the street with a permit. Second, there is not a solid boundary between Hong Kong and the mainland at Chongying Street. So the street is a rather special location. I know that the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau is working with the mainland authorities as to how we can further open up Chongying Street for tourism. We will work with them on it. We will act in accordance with the plan formulated between the Bureau and the mainland authorities. Thank you. Next, to Mr. Ma Fong Kwok. Thank you, Madam Chair. the administration is proposing to develop marine tourism and water sports in Sha Tau Kok, and we have a island hopping tours in Yim Tin Islands, and it was very popular. As we further open up Sha Tau Kok boundary control point, how do we ensure marine safety and security? Because the area where the visitors engage in water sports there is very close to the Shenzhen boundary. So how do we collaborate with the Shenzhen counterparts on this? Second, how do we cope with emergency in the waters there? Do we have any new arrangements? Undersecretary. Thank you. Island hopping tour has been very popular. So as we open up Sha Tau Kok, we have a kaito that go to Lai Chi Kok, Ka-o, and Ap Chau. Sha Tau Kok Hoi is itself a closed area. As to how Sha Tau Kok Bay can collaborate with the Shenzhen waters, the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau is working with the Shenzhen counterparts. Regarding emergencies, please rest assured. All along there's been boundary between Hong Kong and the mainland on the waters, and we do have a pre-existing mechanism for collaboration. Thank you. Mr. Lam San-kun. I know that we want to open up Sha Tau Kok to develop tourism. I have a few questions. Has the administration consulted the locals of Sha Tau Kok regarding the number of quotas of visitors? People, before they enter Sha Tau Kok, have to use the Sha Tau Kok highway, and it's a one-way dual-lane carriageway, and there's bus stops, and some vehicles cut the lanes when the bus stops. So I wonder when the government will widen the Sha Tau Kok highway. There is Maritime Park and a bay where yachts can be berthed. So I wonder if the administration is planning to develop yacht tourism there. My apologies, the questions are more tourism related. I believe that the Security Bureau has been working very closely with the CSTB, so they have no problems answering these questions. Thank you. On consultation, well, we have been working with the Rural Committee of Sha Tau Kok and the North District Council. There is also a district consultation committee that comprises of rural representatives and district councillors. I participated in the meetings. The area has been closed off for half a century. So there is a question as to whether the social facilities, such as the public toilets, will be able to support the development of tourism. We have to be careful. We don't want to impact the lives of the people living there because they may prefer a quiet life. However, the opening up scheme has been positively received because we have done much to enhance the capacity. We have now a Chongying Street garden. Previously, Chongying Street could be reached by a train, and now we put a train there which is a model, and there is an abandoned site next to Chungying Street, and we've turned it into a short-term car park that can accommodate about 60 private cars for locals to use. And we have also built a fish lights plaza to promote Hakka culture. There are a lot of art installations that showcase the culinary history of Hakka culture. There is, well, we have a quota system. That's why the number of visitors to Sha Tau Kok has been kept under control. Apart from the day when we organized this special event, on most of the other days, the quota has not been exhausted. We understand that local residents been very welcoming towards our tourists and visitors. Well, second, on Sha Tau Kok Highway, we are redeveloping the Sha Tau Kok Road. And this boundary control point will be for clearance of visitors only. Currently, we can process about 7,000. In the future, we can process 40,000 visitors. Currently, we are handling about 1,300 cars. In the future, we can handle about 2,000 cars. So we believe that the capacity of Sha Tau Kok Road is enough. Third, on yachts tourism. As I've said on multiple occasions, we will try to accommodate that. Now on CIQ, the process for yachts coming to Hong Kong is rather fast. Well, the Undersecretary was able to answer all sorts of questions. I'm impressed. Mr. Johnny Ng. Thank you. I have two questions. First, Sha Tau Kok has a significant comes with a historical significance. So I wonder if the Security Bureau has worked with other government departments and bureaus to turn it into a spot for national studies or patriotic education. I see that the facial recognition rate has been risen from 97.5% to 99.5%. I think that you're talking about false rejection rate in the sense that people who were supposed to let in was not. Is there a false acceptance rate? That is someone who has been let in but they were not supposed to, because with the facial recognition system there was no one there to monitor the process. Undersecretary, two questions. Thank you. Well, the unsuccessful recognition rate come from people not being able to be recognized. For example, they could be wearing a hat or cap, and some people did not hold closed area permits. When we test the system out, we've asked twin to try it out, and the system was able to distinguish between the twins. Regarding patriotic education, near the Sha Tau Kok Road, there is a law's house, Law Oak, and it was an important relic in the war resistance. And this year marks the 80th anniversary of the victory of the war of resistance. In August to September, the FHT has organized a Robin's Nest historic relic tours, leading people to go to Sha Tau Kok to visit the relics during the Second World War. One of the locations where people visited was the Law Oak. We also have a story hall that exhibit the relevant heritage. The LCSD has been conducting a territory-wide study to identify heritage and relics of the Second World War. We'll continue to educate the public on this front. Thank you very much.
Dr. Johnny, are you more concerned about false acceptance of facial recognition technology? Well, the Undersecretary said even twins could be distinguished. I rest assured. Thank you. Mr. Edmund Wong. Thank you. Contactless technology is very important, and it's a great advancement in clearance. And we, of course, need to have regard to the circumstances in Chongyang Street. We have quite a good utilization rate at the moment. It's 64%. But does that mean approximately 35% of the residents there did not register? Did you try to find out why? We have many measures under the second phase of the Sha Tau Kok opening up plan, including the commissioning of the car park, but you have not talked about the utilization rate. Can you share with us the utilization rate? Can you tell us how the arrangement has improved the situation? Thank you. 2 questions on the Secretary, please. Thank you, Chair. Right now, for the utilization, it's not just residents. We also have those who are ferrying goods to and from the area. They have the relevant personnel have closed area permits. Maintenance personnel also make use of the contactless channel, or they have to get into Chongyang Street. Some may just find it like not so convenient to register in advance, but this figure is already quite high, I would say. As for the utilization rate of car parks, we have 100 private car parking spaces and 14 coach parking spaces. We have quite high temperature these days, and we only have 10 visitors making use of the car park at the moment. We are actually concerned about the viability of the operations, but we do know that they rent out some parking spaces by the month, and they are getting by right now, so to speak. Thank you, Chair. I have a follow-up. I want to ask, do you have a more specific figure on how many residents are actually making use of the contactless channel? Because we should try to get their feedback on the technology to make sure it is convenient for them. And as the Undersecretary said, the usage rate of the car park is quite low. And if the operator has difficulties maintaining operations of the car park, it will really affect the provision of ancillary facilities and services in Sha Tau Kok. Thank you. Undersecretary, we pay close attention to the situation. In fact, it's not just a car park. We have actually concerns whether the operations of the car toll service would be sustainable. We maintain liaison with the operators as a result, And as I said, the car park operator is getting by because they do rent out some parking spaces by the month. Hopefully, things will get better during autumn when the temperatures are lower. For those who have not registered for contactless channel, they most likely not register out of habit because they're just used to the arrangement of producing the permit when they go past the checkpoint. Thank you. Professor Chow Man Kong, I know that 150,000 electronic closed area permits were issued, but only 5,500, less than 4% of them were for visitors. Undersecretary said they have tried hard to streamline the process and approve applications within 2 working days now compared to 3 working days before. If one does not have a criminal record, is it possible that approval can be given on the same day or even immediately to provide more convenience? Now, frontier closed area is something of the past in a way to prevent illegal entry. Is it possible to make the frontier closed area even smaller than it is now so that for most parts of Sha Tau Kok you would not need closed area permits for access? Thank you. Undersecretary, for locals, from the 15th of this month, permits can be approved within 2 working days. For visitors, if they are traveling in groups, if an application is submitted today, the day after next, the applications can be approved. I would say this. The checkpoint in Chongying Street is marking a boundary, and we do understand that frontier closed areas are in a way something of the past, so we try to open up Sha Tau Kok as much as possible. Sha Tau Kok, well, Starling Inlet, and we can see in most areas they are not housing any residents, so we can explore whether to make these no longer a part of the frontier closed area. Thank you. Mr. Lau Kwok Fan, I first would like to express my appreciation for the Bureau's efforts in opening up Sha Tau Kok. You have developed a system and you have tried, in a way, boosting tourism while balancing the need to not affect the lives of residents. I think you've achieved quite good results at the moment. We have started thinking about opening up the frontier closed area since 2008, and in 2016 we have only less than 400 hectares of frontier closed area. Now some years have passed. Can we make further assessments to open up more parts of the Sha Tau Kok area? Can we open up, say, Maipo for tourism? I hope that if this is the plan, there can be some transitional measures also. You have streamlined the approval process for permits from 3 working days to 2 working days, but in actual operation, I asked a colleague to apply for a closed area permit. The next day it was approved. So I think the process can be further streamlined. Can we do it like northbound travel for Hong Kong vehicles? while allowing prior registration for those who have already expressed interest to go into the closed area. And for some of those who are eligible, you can perhaps approve the applications even faster. With the opening up of Robin's Nest and Lima Hang, the Security Bureau has proactively allowed those traveling on minibuses to Robin's Nest without closed area permits. Can we extend this arrangement to Sha Tau Kok town for those traveling on buses or minibuses? So in future, you can impose restrictions on vehicles but not the actual individuals, providing more convenience to people. On the group in, group out arrangement, I hope that government departments can better coordinate the arrangements. That's it for my questions, specifically on enhancing the closed area permit arrangements, imposing less restrictions on the people. Thank you. Under Secretary, we are actively exploring opening up further the frontier closed area. For Maipil, there is a different issue because it is a nature reserve. As for the closed area permit arrangements, I'm sure the member appreciate our efforts, but we have indeed approved the application concerned quite quickly. But as I said earlier, this is not a peak period. We have to account for the fact that during the peak period, it may take longer to approve applications. 2 working days is something we can pledge. As for a whitelist approach, we think it is not suitable because if one is rejected from being placed on whitelist, that individual will know that there may be something wrong. So we consider the approach not suitable. As for imposing restrictions on vehicles, we have relaxed the arrangements for minibuses going from Lima Hang route because the starting point and the end point are not in the frontier closed areas. This is quite unique, which is why we exempted the individuals on the minibuses from possessing closed area permits. But if one is to get to Sha Tau Kok, because the Sha Tau Kok is in the frontier closed area, it is different from the situation for the Lima Hang route. I have a follow-up, Chair. I would like to say, can you convey the views to the consultant? The report is being prepared by the consultant, right? That there are such views so that restrictions will only be imposed on vehicles. Under Secretary, we do understand that we have a boundary control point. The Liantong Hengyun Way control point is a clearance port for both people and vehicles, and there's such demand. Can I just ask, when will the consultant report be ready? Well, we believe works will be undertaken in 2027, and we will need to seek funding approval from the LegCo next year, and I think we'll have the preliminary report in Q1 or Q2 this year. Thank you, Ms. Chen Yuming.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm here in this meeting in attendance. This morning, 9:30 a.m., I attended a meeting of the North District Council. We discussed the reconstruction and redevelopment of Sha Tau Kok. All North District Council members support the development of Sha Tau Kok. I have 2 questions regarding the opening up plan. First, on a boundary economy. Sha Tau Kok is a town with historical significance, and it's inside the blue-green recreational circle of the northern metropolis. It used to be a very busy town. If we develop boundary economy, that will facilitate Sha Tau Kok opening up. From 2031 to 2032, the redeveloped project will be commissioned, and it will allow direct access to people and vehicles, and it can accommodate about 40,000 people. Faced with the increased visitor flow and the development of boundary economy, how will Sha Tau Kok work with it? Will we abandon the quota system, for example, and dispense with the closed area permit arrangements? Second, I'm glad that the administration is considering this arrangement of direct access to people and vehicles to facilitate entrance to Sha Tau Kok. However, as Sha Tau Kok is rather remote and is not easily accessible, the number of applications for the closed area permit is low. I wonder if the bureaus talk to the TLB and the CSTB as to how we can enhance the accessibility of Sha Tau Kok. Will the Northern Metropolis Highway be extended to Sha Tau Kok? With the increase of visitor flow, will the administration put in place smart and green transit system there? Thank you. Under Secretary. On the redevelopment of Sha Tau Kok, colleagues from the Security Bureau attended the meeting of the North District Council on the same topic. We have reached a consensus with the mainland authorities on the mode of redevelopment because we want to adopt this collaborative inspection and joint clearance approach. We're looking into whether we will be able to allow direct access to people and vehicles in the boundary control point. If we can do that, then Sha Tau Kok will no longer be a frontier closed area. As to how we deal with the Sha Tau Kok town, as a result, we will look into it. Regarding public transport to Sha Tau Kok town and Sha Tau Kok, we will work with the TLB on it. As far as I understand, all boundary control points should be accessible by public transport. I know that on the Shenzhen side, it will be able to be accessed by railways. So we will try to do the same. And we will work with the TLB on it. Thank you. Next, Mr. Dennis Leung. Thank you. In April 2024, I see that there are about 15,000 people visiting the area. Divided by days of the year, we have about 500 odd people visiting the area per day. Do you have a median figures, and on which day we have the highest number of visitors and on which day we have the lowest number of visitors? We want to avoid overcrowding. Second, I'm also concerned about transport facilities. There is only one road leading to Chongyang Street. With more and more visitors going to the area, have we seen more traffic accidents? Third, with a higher visitor flow, what is the crime rate? Has there been any accidents, any request for assistance from the police? With more people going to the area, we will see more refuse, noise nuisance. So how does the administration take care of the situation so that we can enhance the visitors' experience while local residents not being affected as much? Thank you. I will divide the figures into individuals and tour groups. From 2024-25, since the opening up of the Sha Tau Kok, we saw every month approximately 150 to 200 individual visitors, and from January to March, the quotas were almost exhausted. For tour groups, every day we saw about 170 visitors in the first 4 months. However, the number of visitors dropped during summer holidays, and the same goes for 2025. From January to February, we saw about 100 people going to the area, but during summer, we saw double digits of visitors going there. From January, we saw only 100 people going to the area. From June to July, about 47, 49, 90 people going to the area. Perhaps people have gotten tired of the area. We now have 10 new tourist hotspots, which has been uploaded onto our Tourism Commission's website and printed on our leaflets, which include Sha Tau Kok. We hope that more people will visit there. And now applications for closed area permits can be approved within 2 working days. However, so far we've not received any application. This is rather disappointing. We will continue to work on the promotion. We don't see a large number of visitors going to Sha Tau Kok on a regular basis. We only offer special traffic arrangements on weekdays. There is no significant rise in the number of traffic accidents. Second, have we seen more reports of crimes since the opening of Sha Tau Kok town? Well, there's not. So it seems that the visitors are in harmony with the local residents. In autumn, I saw many cyclists filling up the restaurants in Sha Tau Kok town. There is no significant rise in crime rates either. I know that the police force been in close liaison with the local representatives and rural committee. They are in close connection. When tour groups visit the Sha Tau Kok, they will make special arrangements. They will deploy law enforcement agencies and colleagues to check the documents of the visitors as they alight the vehicles. Next, Mr. Yang Wen-kit. Thank you. Sha Tau Kok is a great place for ecotourism. According to the paper, only 1/10 of the quotas has been used, and so there's minimal impact to the local residents caused by the visitors. As we promote ecotourism in Sha Tau Kok, I believe that the number of visitors will go up. As we develop the area, I believe that it will become more and more popular. Do we have a long-term plan in mind to enhance the public facilities? The Undersecretary said that we only have 2 public toilets, for example. Are they enough? Now we have 100 private car parking spaces and 14 coach parking spaces. If there are 3,000 people going to the area, then we need approximately 20 coach parking spaces. Will you make use of this downtime to increase the number of parking spaces, to enhance catering facilities? The Undersecretary said that the restaurants are only filled up during weekend. I think that we have to plan ahead in case there is a significant rise in the number of visitors in the future. Can we approve closed area permits within the same day when people file their application? Can we make use of artificial intelligence? Because I believe that there is preset conditions for approval, I think that we can make use of digital technology. If people file their applications via IM Smart, then we can make use of technology to approve or reject applications. If we can shorten the processing time, then people will be more motivated to visit the area. Thank you. Undersecretary, 2 questions. Understood. During the first and second phase of Sha Tau Kok opening up, we are very much concerned about whether local residents will be affected. Sha Tau Kok is a mysterious place in the minds of many people. That's why we try to control the number of visitors going to the area. We want to allow residents to adapt to the opening up of the area progressively. Our impression is that local residents of Sha Tau Kok want us to open up the area faster. Now we only have 1 official public toilet, another one is within the wet market. I believe that most people make use of the toilets in the restaurants. We are working with the FHD and relevant departments to increase number of facilities. I know that they are cleaning the toilets more frequently these days, especially during weekend, and I visit the public toilet whenever I go there. Rarely do I see public toilets as clean as the ones in Sha Tau Kok. Second, we have updated the system, and now applications can be approved within 2 working days. We all want to have our application granted on the same day, but as I said, Sha Tau Kok is a frontier closed area, and there is smuggling activities of cats and dogs in Chongying Street, as reported in the media. So we do need some form of control. Despite this, I believe that we will make changes to the status of the Sha Tau Kok and Chongying Street, but I believe that 2 working days is a reasonable length of time. Thank you. Next, Mr. Benson Look. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chair, Chongying Street or Sha Tau Kok in general, they are an important part for us to promote red tourism. And I can see the Security Bureau has been relaxing restrictions. This is very positive, and it supports tourism everywhere in Hong Kong. We have had other members follow up on the matter how we can boost tourism in the area. In fact, in the council, we have had other members urging for the Security Bureau to shorten the approval time required further. We do understand that the area is a frontier closed area. There has to be a checkpoint, but can we do more so that for visitors we can grant same-day approval? You said right now applications approved faster because we are not at the full quota numbers. I just want to know, since you have that flexibility, can you do more for non-peak periods? As for group in, group out arrangement, the Security Bureau gave a reply to a member's question saying that they had been liaising with mainland authorities, and it is planned that at some point tourism groups can enter Chongying Street if there is prior registration under Secretary. As I said earlier, for non-local visitors, if they travel in a group, we can provide next day approval. Unfortunately, as I said earlier, we have never received any applications for such arrangement. As for group in, group out arrangement for Chongying Street, I understand that Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau has been liaising with mainland authorities, and they have our full support. Thank you. Any follow-up questions, Mr. Benson Look? None? Mr. Sha Tau Kok. Thank you, Chair. I have several comments. One is on contactless clearance. Unfortunately, the utilization rate is just at some 60%. Can you do more in a way making it mandatory beyond a certain date? You still have some 30% people who have yet to register for contactless clearance. Can you give them some sort of pressures to have them register for the arrangement and basically give them a push towards making use of contactless clearance? Well, even at the airport, we now have contactless clearance arrangements. So, do you have plans to put in place contactless clearance arrangements in the busier ports, especially during the peak periods? I understand that you will need enough space to implement that. Say, Shenzhen Bay Port, it is bigger, whereas the Hengyun Port, it may be smaller, it may not be possible. I think you can explore this with the Immigration Department. In Shenzhen Bay Port, once you're on the mainland side, you don't need to produce the mainland travel permit now. If we can have contactless clearance arrangements there, it will be beneficial if we implement the arrangement there, so that perhaps some of those making use of the Hengyun Port will go to the Shenzhen Bay Port instead. And we have seen some tour groups requiring visitors to pay only a $20 fee, so they of course wouldn't want to make use of control points that would have relatively expensive transport. So the only thing you can do is to make it more convenient, say coaches, to get through Shenzhen Bay Port. Tour groups then may opt for Shenzhen Bay Port instead, and you can alleviate traffic in Hengyun Port. You can perhaps work with the Transport Department on this. I know what the Undersecretary said also about not imposing restrictions on individuals on minibuses or buses. You're coming from the perspective of security, But I am concerned, especially for the new Huanggang port. If you do not offer direct access to people and vehicles, then we will see some very busy traffic in the area, and it can be quite chaotic. The government departments need better coordination, and we also need to coordinate with mainland authorities. We need to make things different from before, otherwise why would we need a new port? 3 questions, Under Secretary. Thank you, Chair. We are only trying out contactless clearance arrangements in Sha Tau Kok to see what difficulties there may be. And as I said earlier, in Sha Tau Kok, because the length is 16 meters, it is narrower, and basically we can set up cameras. We should be able to identify everyone going past. In Shenzhen Bay, it is something different because there are actually 2 gates. The first would be the facial recognition gate, and the second one would be the fingerprint gate. Hopefully we can eliminate the fingerprint gate at some point. And in Hong Kong, Zhuhai Macau Bridge, we have 2 pilot channels. We do see there being enough space for contactless clearance arrangements, but then we do see some difficulties in Hong Kong Zhuhai Macau Bridge compared to Sha Tau Kok, because you know how the contactless clearance channels have to be wider, and we need more space for such. As for your other question, for mainland tour groups coming to Hong Kong, they are traveling in coaches, and right now coaches would have to wait for long at boundary control points. We are trying to flash out some arrangements for this, and this is especially serious in Her Yun Wai control point because we won't have that many people traveling in cross-boundary coaches. We are working with the Transport and Logistics Bureau on this. As for the new Sha Tau Kok port, what we can do in terms of traffic, we do face some difficulties because there is not much we can do due to the width of Sha Tau Kok Road. We don't want any potential congestion. As for what Mr. Lai said about the airport, it is different because flight token is a different arrangements. You need to do more in order to make it happen, but we'll explore the option. Thank you. Ms. Elizabeth Quart, you're the last to speak. Thank you, Chair. I would definitely want to see the contactless clearance arrangement expanded to other boundary control points once you have conducted enough pilots and found good results. So for the works of a port in Shenzhen 2029, it is said the reconstruction will be completed, and in Hong Kong it would be later in 2031 and 2032. The Shenzhen side is actually paying close attention to see how we can interface with the Shenzhen side. Can we make works to be completed earlier so as to tie in with the schedule of the Shenzhen side? As for Chongying Street, many citizens would like to visit Chongying Street, but we are only talking about opening up Sha Tau Kok at the moment. Is it possible for citizens to apply for a permit to visit Chongying Street? Can we start small, imposing a quota, so that at least we can start somewhere? Thirdly, we have received feedback or questions from the village chief of Sha Tau Kok. Since we are developing low altitude economy, would you consider providing low altitude transport options in Sha Tau Kok so that one can fly from an urban area to Lychee Wall, for example? Would you consider providing such options? Thank you. Undersecretary. While some of the topics mentioned may be beyond the scope of the Bureau, but I'll try my best to answer the questions. We have a working group on the port, and we have been maintaining liaison with mainland authorities on the implementation progress. I believe the Shenzhen side has already started demolition, and they held a competition for the design of boundary control point. We have to wait until the design is completed, and we will coordinate with the mainland authorities after that. Their target of completion is 2029. And after that, we need to resume land of about 1.5 football field large. And we have already done some site investigation. We aim to start works in 2027. We hope to catch up after the commencement of works. The consensus with the Shenzhen side is that we'll complete the works in 2031 and then we'll conduct some tests. And no later than 2032, the port will be commissioned. This is a consensus of the two sides, a preliminary one at least. As for the point on Chongqing Street, I already explained earlier the unique history of Chongqing Street and the specific circumstances. The CSTB is liaising with relevant authorities to see if we can put in place some sort of group in, group out arrangement for visiting Sha Tau Kok. Once the CSTB has any consensus with the Shenzhen side, they have our full support. As for the low altitude economy, there are currently some sandbox projects, and the Security Bureau has participated in the sandbox projects. We have taken part in coordination work. Well, for some of the applications, we actually participated in the pilots as well. The police force, the Customs and Excise Department, and the Immigration Department all together. If necessary, we can provide more assistance and support. Thank you. Undersecretary, thank you for your report today. Let me give a brief summary here. Without affecting residents in the area, in fact, you have received quite positive feedback from residents to open up Sha Tau Kok, and if you can be more flexible as members suggested, I believe it can be quite beneficial. We should also provide more public facilities. I do know that the Security Bureau has been paying attention to the situation, enhancing hygiene work. You've also paid attention to the situation of the utilization of car parks. I believe you have done much already. When you're ready, please report on the latest progress in due course to the panel. Thank you, Undersecretary. Let's move on to the next agenda item. The next agenda item is joining hands on the road to rehabilitation, and would the staff members of the Secretary please invite government officials in attendance to come inside the conference room. We will discuss this item until 3:55 today. We have a background brief prepared by the Legislative Council Secretariat, LC paper number CB brackets 21691/2025 brackets 05. We have today in attendance Mr. Tang Ping, Current Secretary for Security, Ms. Rebecca Chung, Principal Assistant Secretary for Security, Mr. Chu Lok, Deputy Commissioner of the Correctional Services Department, Mr. Tong Suen, Assistant Commissioner of the Correctional Services Department. Secretary, when you're ready, please brief members on the paper provided by administration, CB brackets 21691/2025 brackets 04. When you're ready, please, Secretary.
Thank you. The Correctional Services Department is committed to ensuring a secure, safe, humane, decent, and healthy custodian environment and provides persons in custody PIC with appropriate rehabilitation services. The CSD has all along been performing the role of rehabilitation companion to provide comprehensive support for PICs in order to help them rehabilitate. We offer comprehensive life-wide education and chances of further studies. We offer psychological counseling services, rehabilitation projects, and employment services. We also offer rehabilitated persons with post-release supervision and support, as well as having been further enhancing the quality of rehabilitation services. We want PICs to integrate into the society after discharge. Now I will talk about the efforts of CSD. Now in terms of education, in order to promote the upward mobility of PICs, in October 2023 in Paksawan and Lowu Correctional Institution, we have established the Ethics Colleague to offer a 1-year full-time diploma of applied education program. For PICs who have obtained the diploma in September last year, the CSD has created a 2-year full-time associate of general studies programs in distance learning mode. At the same time, the CSD extended the Ethics Colleague to Pig Oak Prison to offer a half-day part-time associate of general studies program and half-day vocational training for the graduates of DAE programs who are unable to complete the associate degree program during the remainder of their sentences, so as to help them continue to equip themselves and prepare for further studies and employment after release and reintegration into society. Now, in terms of vocational training, the CSD offer 13 different placement-tied programs. For PICs who are going to be released in 24 months, we have 1,700 full-time and part-time training places of vocational training courses. All these courses are recognized on the market. Now, in terms of employment, to promote the upward mobility of PICs, the CSD has put in place a program to offer a one-stop training course so that they can give full play to their potentials and contribute to the society. The details of the program include internship, employment. Now, in terms of behavioral and ideological modification, in recent years, quite a number of radical persons have been involved in serious offenses related to national security and black-led violence. As a result, under Project PATH, the CSD has been pursuing 3 major rehabilitation directions, namely understanding Chinese history and strengthening national education, psychological reconstruction and reestablishment of values, and life planning and rebuilding of family relationships. Now, in terms of psychological counseling, in Lowu and Heiling Chao, the CSD has offered animal-assisted therapy to lessen their depression and anxiety. We also have an internship program, that is the Rehabilitation Dog Services Internship Program, that help halfway house trainees build self-confidence and develop a sense of responsibility. Trainees in rehabilitation dogs were arranged to visit elderly service centers to conduct caring visits, thereby giving back to society. The CSD has established 4 new family therapy centers at the multi-purpose family and rehabilitation service centers in Chunmun and Shenshui, respectively, to organize different types of treatment programs. In Chunmun and Shenshui, we have established family therapy centers to offer different kinds of treatment programs for rehabilitated drug addicts under statutory supervision and rehabilitated persons with violent tendencies or radical thoughts. By extending the in-prison psychological and family counseling services to the community, the CSD aims to help them resolve family problems so that they can rebuild family relationships smoothly. Last year, the CSD established the Correctional Rehabilitation Research Unit to promote evidence-informed rehabilitation services and anti-crime work through undertaking relevant research. The crime rate has been dropping over the past few decades. It dropped from 39.9% to 21.8% in recent years. This is a great achievement that showcases the determination and efforts of the CSD to rehabilitate persons in custody and the support of the community. Looking forward, the CSD will continue to actively review and enhance various rehabilitation services and programs having regard to social changes and needs, and proactively promote rehabilitation work in the community in collaboration with various sectors. Thank you. Thank you, Secretary for Security, for the presentation. There are 9 members who would like to put questions. First, Ms. Doreen Kong, and then we have Mr. Lam San Kan, Mr. Dennis Lam, Mr. Chan Pui Lam, Mr. Dominic Lee, Dr. Johnny Ng, Ms. Elizabeth Kwok, Mr. Benson Luk, and Mr. Ma Fong Kwok. Ms. Doreen Kong, 4 minutes, including question and answer, please. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that it is very meaningful and important for us to help PICs rehabilitate. On the relationship between employment and recidivism, well, it is said that in 2024, the employment rate of PICs being discharged is at 83%. For Singapore, if PICs after discharge can be employed for 18 months, the recidivism rate is as low as 7%, which is far lower than the overall percentage. This shows that with stable employment, the reoffending possibility is low. Apart from looking at the employment rate, do we have any figures on continuous employment? Second, on the relationship between recidivism and dangerous drug cases. The relevant recidivism rate of people being discharged from drug treatment centers is far higher than other criminals. And the percentage can be as high as 3 times. For Taiwan, the 2-year recidivism rate for dangerous drug criminals is as high as 43.6%. Do we have the same type of study or research in Hong Kong? Secretary, thank you. In Hong Kong, we make use of an employment rate of 6 months, and thus the standards applied by the Employee Retraining Board. The member just talked about Singapore, but, well, in most cases, they make use of the 6-month figure because after 6 months, people may change jobs and they may have some different goals in mind. That's why we make use of the 6 months as the basis of calculation. Well, second, on the recidivism rate. We found that for young people, the rate can be as high as 98 to 100% for people discharged from rehabilitation center. However, the figures for drug addiction treatment center, the figure is quite low. is about 40 to 60%. As we all know, criminals being discharged from drug addiction treatment centers are addicted to drugs, and it's sometimes difficult for them to become completely clean. So we understand the high reoffending rate. That's why we try to help them medically and psychologically. We do understand that this is a difficult task because a drug addiction is both a psychological and a physical problem. Thank you. Next, Mr. Lam San-kan. Thank you. According to paragraph 14, it is said that the employment rate of rehabilitated persons after 6 months of employment follow-up period after release was over 83%. What is the meaning of this figure? Is it a number of rehabilitated persons being hired 6 months after discharge? Some employers told me that they hired rehabilitated persons in the past, but they resigned 2 days after coming on the job. Are they included in the 83%? Will the administration ask the employers about the attitude of the rehabilitated persons so that we can make improvement? Secretary. Regarding the 83% figure, it's about, it's the time when a rehabilitated persons hold a job. They could have changed job within these 6 months, but as long as they are employed within these 6 months, they will be included in the 83%. For adults, they may not join the supervision program, so we don't necessarily have the relevant figures for adult rehabilitated persons. We do have a caring employer program, and there are many good employers who offer jobs to rehabilitated persons, and we've talked to them. Regardless of whether someone is a rehabilitated person, young people these days like to change jobs. I think that this issue is not limited to rehabilitated persons. We've asked employers about what we can do. Perhaps we can enhance training for PICs. We try to make adjustment to our programs before a PIC is discharged. We try to step up skill training for PIC and prepare them for reintegration after release. Thank you. Next, Mr. Dennis Leung. Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank the CSD for adopting different approach to help PICs rehabilitate. I see that they have established an ethics college, and the 6-month employment rate is as high as 83%. What about the remaining 17%? What are their lives like after discharge? And do we have social workers to follow up on this group of rehabilitated persons so that they can reintegrate into the society? The CSD offer different types of programs, and the Vocational Training Council also offer training that are employment tied, and I wonder if the rehabilitated persons can identify a job after they are released. How can we make sure that the skills taught in the prisons and correctional institutions are actually useful? We have high unemployment rate in the catering industry. If the PICs, after they are released, cannot find a job, then it's difficult for them to reintegrate. There is a project path under the CSD, and PICs join it on a voluntary basis. For PICs that did not commit offenses relating to black cat violence, is their reoffending rate lower? Because as far as I understand, their recidivism rate is as high as 21.8%. How can we lower the percentage? Thank you.
Secretary, thank you. Chair, I'll answer the questions one by one. Indeed, we no longer follow up on the work situation of rehabilitated persons after the 6 months of employment follow-up period after release. We are trying to strike a balance because resources are definitely needed. 6 months is an appropriate period of time because, as I said, there are many factors at play. Some may want to change their works. They may have different interests. Where do people go after that? Some are going into continuous studies. If they do not get employment, some are probably still are not working at all. We try to help them as much as possible. There are also cases where individuals will not be subject to supervision. If they are released from training centers, detention centers, or drug addiction treatment centers, etc., they will be subject to supervision, and essentially will be followed up on their situation. For those who need other forms of support, we will refer the cases to other social service organizations such as those who have drug addictions. We would refer them to groups that help people who had addictions. We also refer rehabilitated persons to some associations that care for rehabilitated persons. As for support provided to PICs and specifically training, for young PICs, we have various training courses, and for those who are about to be released, we have 40 vocational courses for them. Before, we would have courses maybe in vehicle maintenance, but we don't have as much of that now, which is why we now have some courses in, say, hairdressing. We're moving with the times here. As for the project path, any PIC can participate in that. Even those who have not committed black cat violence cases will take part in the project path. I think the member is specifically talking about the recidivism rate. For those who are participating in the project, there's actually a lower recidivism rate, correct? Maybe we can have the Deputy Commissioner answer this question or supplement your answers. Indeed, those attending project, having participated in project path, have a lower recidivism rate because they have received employment support as well as support for family relationships and national identity, and giving them a better understanding of Chinese history, basically. And it has really made them less likely to reoffend. Thank you. Mr. Chen Pui-Leung, Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the Security Bureau has done much work providing learning in knowledge and skills so that they can reintegrate into society. I believe Ethics College has been established about 2 years ago, and there should have already been 2 cohorts of graduates. So I want to ask for the Ethics College graduates, when they reintegrate into society, what happens in their employment, or should they go into further studies? What is happening with them? Has supervision or assistance been effective to them? I also want to ask, we have seen some of those with professional qualifications or a very high education level being imprisoned during the past few years for black violence related cases, and they may find it hard to get a job after release. If the ones who have been imprisoned, their crimes are not related to something financial in nature, can we work with the regulatory bodies to allow these individuals to continue to practice? Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Ethics College has indeed seen 2 cohorts of graduates, and we have approximately 75 graduates per cohort. We have 100 to 200 people applying, but we only have 75 places, so 2 cohorts would mean for 150. And we have had 31 out of the 150 having already been released. And 27 of the 31 people are willing to receive follow-up services provided by us. That is quite a high ratio. 27 out of 31. We have 19 who are employed. 2 of them are going into further studies, and they have transferred some credits they have accumulated in correctional institutions to further studies. And we have 6 people looking for jobs. I believe this is quite a success. We have indeed some people with quite high education level being imprisoned for black violence related cases, which is why we have done something new in response to this. We have signed agreements with UGC funded universities so that the credits they have accumulated in correctional institutions can be transferred to further studies in those institutions upon release. As for professional groups, I think it really depends on what the specific professional bodies think, whether they can allow the individuals to continue to practice. But we have maintained liaison with professional bodies to help them reach a more accurate judgment. Mr. Chen, are you concerned about liaison with professional bodies? Apart from that, you should also liaise with regulatory bodies. Well, we have also been liaising with regulatory bodies, and I think you should maintain communication then. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Dominic Lee. I would like to thank the Correctional Services Department and Security Bureau for doing much work in rehabilitation of PICs. And I want to ask specifically for paragraph 19. We have talked about for some of those who have radical thoughts involved in serious offenses. There is Project PATH that has been assisting them in rebuilding positive values. So I want to ask if those who were involved in black violence cases, did they participate in Project PATH? Is this voluntary program or is this a screen program? If you ask them to participate, if they do not participate, will there be consequences? Secretary, thank you, Chair. This project is voluntary. We have 63% of relevant individuals participating in the project at first. Now we have 99% of those participating in Project PATH, and this is quite a good result, as most of those are participating in the program. There are 3 directions to Project PATH. 1, understanding Chinese history and strengthening national education. We have specifically a part of it being understanding Chinese history is the beginning of knowledge. The content is more interesting while allowing PRCs to get a better understanding of Chinese history as well as basic law, constitution. The second direction is psychological reconstruction and reestablishment of values. We have the Youth Lab as well as the Change Lab. For this purpose, to provide psychological counseling services to young PICs during custody and after release. We also have the Project JET that provides one-stop training and career development opportunities for PICs and rehabilitated persons. We have some caring employers providing vacancies for rehabilitated persons. We have quite a number of vacancies. It's just a matter of whether PRCs actually go for such opportunities or instead going into further study. We also provide training for PICs. We have provided some still working courses, and we have the third direction of the project being life planning and rebuilding of family relationships. We want to help them reintegrate into their family so that they will be more positive. So this is the 3 directions of Project PATH. Thank you. Any follow-up questions? None? Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Chair. I very much appreciate the efforts of the Bureau and the departments so far. The efforts have been quite comprehensive. I want to ask about specifically those who are involved in black violence cases or national security crimes. How many of them have already been released? I also note that another member has talked about the situation for professionals. I've actually noted some cases, some younger professionals who work in insurance, they have questions about whether the regulatory bodies will consider them still eligible to practice. It seems that there's some gray area. I agree with what Mr. Chen said. Perhaps the Bureau can proactively reach out to regulatory bodies, telling the regulatory bodies about how the individuals have participated in Project PATH, so as to help regulatory bodies make a better judgment. Of course, the decision would have to be made by the regulatory bodies, but I think there is some productivity that can be released there. Thank you, Secretary.
There are about 430 PICs who have committed offense relating to national security and black-clad violence currently. I've talked about regulators and professional bodies. as to when and whether they will allow rehabilitated persons to be re-registered with them. Well, that's totally up to them. The rehabilitated persons can ask the CSD officers to make a report on the possibility of reoffendance of the PICs. But I fully support it for PICs who have participated, say, the project path. It's a great idea for us to compile a report for them so that they can have some supporting documents for when they reapply for registration with professional bodies and regulators. Next, Ms. Elizabeth Quat. Thank you. I'd like to commend the work of the CSD. They help rehabilitated persons turn a new leaf and reintegrate into the society. And this is how we make our city more safe. On the Facebook of CSD, they have published photos where PICs were watching the military parade on the 3rd of September. I felt great pride for my own country while I watched the military parade. I hope that after watching the parade, the PICs would know more about the power of our country and boost their patriotism. I didn't know about this event in advance. So I wonder if all PICs were asked to watch the military parade, or is it the case that only Project Path participants watched it? After watching it, was there any form of discussion among the PICs? Do we have any follow-up activities so that the PIC know more about the significance behind the military parade? Second, I support the vocational training for PICs. We need to equip them with skills so that they will find it easier to secure a job after release. I see that the CSD offer also articulation programs. How many of the PICs were able to go for further studies after completing the courses in prisons? The CSD does not only teach traditional skills, they also offer virtual and 3D interior design and artificial intelligence. I think that we need to learn AI and DeepSeek. Are they included in the training programs offered in the correctional institutions? Secretary, thank you. On military parade, it was a very significant event in a country. It will enhance the sense of pride among PICs. On the 3rd of September, our young PICs were supposed to take lessons along with the Project Path participants. Same as many schools in Hong Kong, we arrange students to watch the military parade, and we have teachers explain to them the significance behind the parade. For some PICs, they have to work. For this group of people, they were able to watch some of the highlights of the military parade during their meal times. We invited guests to deliver speeches and talks on the history of the war and the significance behind the parade. On AI and computer courses. We already have, say, computer-aided drawing courses offered in the correctional institutions already. We'll look into whether we will offer AI-related courses in the future. It's difficult for us to teach PICs how to create an AI model, but I think that we need to have them learn how to make use of it. Thank you. Agreed. Next, Mr. Benson Look. Thank you. In recent years, the CSD had dedicated much efforts in the rehabilitations of PICs. I have two questions. In order to cope with people radical peoples involved in serious offenses, Project Path has been established, and the recidivism rate of Project Path graduates is as low as 0.7%. However, for reintegration rate of PICs, there are some that are rather low. For example, those released from Drug Addiction Treatment Center and Training Center. For a success rate of reintegration programs within the supervision period, that of Training Center is as low as 57.1%. After releasing from the Training Center, young PICs should undergo training or education, and they will have to be supervised for 3 years upon release. Why is the success rate of reintegration for people released from training centers so low? How will the administration work on it? Earlier this year, the administration rolled out a new program that's called Made in Prison. Members of the public are able to purchase products online. There are great variety of products. There are custom-made products and products related to national games. This Made in Prison platform has been established for 8 months. What's the progress? Thank you. Let me talk about the success rate of reintegration programs within the supervision period. For detention centers and rehabilitation centers, the success rate is higher than 95%. For training centers, the success rate is quite low, so of some 70, 80%, and even 50%. For training center, the supervision is 3 years. For detention and rehabilitation centers, the supervision period is 1 year. That's why the percentage for training center is lower, because naturally the reoffending rate would be higher if the length of supervision is 3 years. As you can see, the success rate in 2022 is 81.5%, 2023 72.7%, 2024 57.1%. We don't have many people being released from training center in 2022. We have 33 people under supervision, 9 reoffended. In 2024, there were only 14 PICs being released from training centers. 6 of them reoffended. As the total number of PICs were low. That's why the percentage is such. You talked about made in prison. Well, previously we have the autumn fair where members of the public can purchase handcraft products made by PICs, and the proceeds will be donated to charitable organizations. Every year, we generate about $40,000 of income from the autumn fair. Because of COVID, we put a stop to the autumn fair. After that, we gave the annual autumn fair another thought. That's why we set up the online charity gift sales platform made in prison. From January to August 2025, the net profit generated from the platform is about $120,000, which is far higher than the income generated from the autumn fair. We think that we should continue to promote it. I will extend the meeting by 15 minutes because we were supposed to end it at 4 p.m. There are still 2 members waiting to speak. Mr. Ma Kok. Thank you, Madam Chair. The CST established the Ethics College, which provide a 1-year full-time diploma program for voluntary enrollment by adult PIC with a view to enhancing their employability and their opportunities for upward mobility. This is how they can be better equipped for reintegration into society in future. How do we assess the effectiveness of the college? Have we looked into the changes of students before and after joining the college? Has their attitude to life changed? How do PICs who have joined at the Ethics College compare to those who have not? After the PIC have joined the Ethics College, released from the prison and correctional institution, have we followed up on their situation? Are they able to secure a job? Are they pursuing further studies? How well do they integrate into society? I think that this is very important. Because this is how we assess the effectiveness of the programs that we offer PICs. Thank you. Secretary. Thank you. The Ethics College is an institution to provide adults PIC an opportunity to undergo a full-time program. Our PICs value this opportunity to receive education very much. Their attitude to life changed significantly. Tong Ying Kid was caught because of a national security related offense. He was sentenced to 9 years in prison. He joined the Ethics College. His ideology, his attitude completely changed. He regretted his act and he became a member of the flag raising team. He shared with us his experience and how much he valued the opportunities that he now have, and he also shared with us his plan for the future. I participated in the graduation ceremony of an ethics college. I was moved to tears. Graduates of ethics college value very much the opportunities that they were given to pursue education programs. And we have volunteers who taught the program. Our passing rate is 100%. our examination papers are just as difficult as the ones offered outside a correctional institution. Our passing rate now is still 100%. So Ethics College has been a great help to PICs.
As for the second point, we continue to follow up on the situation of Ethics College graduates. 31 of them have already been released. 27 of them are willing to receive our follow-up services because this is voluntary. We have many of them continuing to work. 2 of them choose to go into further study. 6 of them are looking for jobs. We will provide support to them, and we will see if there's any room for improvement for the program. Mr. Ma actually asked earlier whether the follow-up will be done by the Correctional Services Department or NGOs. Well, this is just collated data because Ethics College was just established, and we are following up on that ourselves at the moment, but in future maybe there's room for collaboration with relevant organizations. Thank you, Mr. Edmund Wong. Thank you, Chair. We have seen in the paper some training that is provided to young PICs. We have also the Ethics College. I think it is good because it helps young PICs form goals. Often when they're trying to set targets for themselves, they are basically told what to do. And we have some trade organizations working with the Correctional Services Department. I would actually like to thank the Correctional Services Department for allowing the accountancy sector organizations to tell young PICs that there are diversified pathways, even though they have committed crimes. So would you consider working with more trade associations or relevant organizations to have more sharing sessions with PICs so that young PICs can have more pathways that they may be interested in? Because if they have some goals, it is less likely they will re-offend. That's my first question. We have also seen some young PICs who were not involved in serious offenses that can continue to practice. Does the Bureau compile relevant figures? Thank you, Chair. Secretary, thank you. The employment support we provide for PICs would include actually introducing some job opportunities to them and liaising with employers for them to get a better understanding of what young PICs learn in correctional institutions, but we would need to have regard to the profiles of the relevant PICs. And we also need to have regard to some professions practices. So we will unlikely reach out to, say, the Law Society or the Bar Association. We try to have regard to the background of the PIC concerned to see which organizations we reach out to. We, of course, want to tell employers that we have some great success examples so that employers are more willing to employ rehabilitated persons. We also have a particular law for rehabilitated offenders. If the crime is not serious, if one does not re-offend within 3 years, this record can essentially be disregarded. So this is one way rehabilitated offenders can be helped by the Rehabilitation of Offenders Ordinance. All right, Secretary, I would like to say something as well. I do note that in 2024, we have seen the establishment of the CRRU, which compiles the latest trends in the world, and the staff members in the unit would also take part in some seminars sharing their findings with the public. And in December, they will work with the National Police University for Criminal Justice on some sharing of information. So can the Secretary or the Deputy Commissioner share with us more on these measures? Deputy Commissioner, thank you. Indeed, the CRRU was established to help us with evidence-based rehabilitation, basically collecting more data and sharing such information with other organizations. We have also worked with some academics and experts and some consultants to support our work. We have, for different rehabilitation projects, we want evidence-based findings on the effectiveness of the measures, and this should also help us promote such measures with different organizations and bodies locally and in the mainland and overseas. We will have a report published on the 11th. I believe this will help us gain more recognition. Thank you. I don't see anyone else who would like to speak on this item. Thank you, Secretary and officers from the Correctional Services Department, for attending this item, the discussion of this item. We'll move on to the next agenda item, any other business. If there's no other business, meeting adjourned. Thank you for attending this meeting. Thank you.